Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. Isaiah 58:12, NIV. Welcome to Outreach Connection, focusing on topics and issues that reach our communities with the love and power of Jesus Christ.
Welcome again, my friends, to another exciting episode of the Outreach Connection. I'm Dr. Pepper, shaking the salt, and since we are to be the salt and light of the world, I have some really good salt shakers and lit up women and men with me today. So we don't want to waste any much more time, and without ado, Deb Bowen, thanks for being with me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, you're not a first-timer, we know that. And so there's one other beautiful lady sitting by you. Let's introduce your lovely daughter.
Hi, I'm Cassie.
And Cassie Bowen is kind of your collaborator now.
She is indeed.
You grew her and groomed her and raised her just for that,
That's right.
Actually, I think it kind of went the other way around a little bit, didn't it, Cassie?
A little.
Tell everybody how this first project got started, how you even just had the thought of being interested in such an event.
Okay.
Well, Cassie was in middle school, and she came to me saying that she would get extra credit for social studies if I took her to the Jewish Holocaust Remembrance at the synagogue.
Yes.
So that is where we found out that there were local survivors in the Quad Cities, about a dozen then, and 3 of them had the same name, Esther. And
did you, Cassie, have any idea when you first went that this would affect you? Like
No, especially to this degree, no.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a learning experience, and for me as a junior higher, I was completely ignorant of other, religions and things going on, so it was a learning experience. Yeah.
That's wonderful, and that's why the books have absolutely been an opportunity to hear it from one who actually lived it. Instead of writing about it, you get it firsthand.
Right.
Absolutely.
So those of you that are watching right now, remember that this is an opportunity for you to not only get copies of the books, but we're going to let you meet a couple of the young men who came as foreign exchange students, and one is from Kenya and one is from Saudi Arabia. They'll be on at the very end with us. But I do want to make sure that you know that this isn't a project where Debbie is rich and famous and has all of the funding in the world. To get some grants and opportunities, we're going to put up, you saw it on the screen right there, the opportunity for you to help. And maybe you would even like to get involved in these projects. Can they do that?
They sure can.
Yeah.
It started with just introducing children to the 3 women named Esther, and I asked them to write and illustrate a children's book about that life, that story they just heard, and didn't know what outcome we would get, but the output was awesome.
Yes.
The kids did a great job taking the story and putting it into a format that we could teach younger children, and also preserve the story because they weren't preserved any other way. And so we got the 3 stories done, and then more stories just kept coming our way. Stories about other Jewish survivors, stories about the World War II veterans who were eyewitness to the concentration camps, stories about righteous Gentiles, Corrie ten Boom being the most famous, and a story has been written about her. So kids came at me with all kinds of different stories. And when I was a girl, we only knew Anne Frank.
And that's what was just showing on the screen while you said that, too. And the Quad Cities 3 Esthers was the first, and the second one was... Was that Anne Frank? Was the second one?
No, the next one was World War II veterans, and then righteous Gentiles. And as kids came to me, I let them choose their passions on what they wanted to write about.
And Cassie, you kind of started along that way too. So what did you choose, and how did you choose what you would do?
I wrote about Samuel Harris from Chicago. I heard him speak at Augustana College when I was old. I was in high school, I think, freshman or sophomore year of high school. So I wrote about him.
And for those that don't know him?
Well, he grew up, he was a kid survivor, Holocaust survivor, and it just talked about his experiences at the camps and what he went through. And so I had an exchange student with me at the time. She was living with us.
From Germany?
From Germany, yes. And so she helped me she helped me illustrate the book.
Was that hard for her? Because when we look back in the scope of things and we see our friends who, the Germans and the Japanese, and we're all, we love them so much now, but there was a time when we were enemies. Did she have any, or you have any knowledge of that so much now?
Well, Laura was very touched by this whole project, hearing Sam speak. You know, as after years and years to digest this and sort through this, one of the things I think that touched her the most was him saying, you know, what do you think of when you think of Germany? And people in the audience were saying, you know, Hitler and the concentration camps. And he said, well, let me tell you what I think of. I think of composers and art and the beautiful countryside. And you could tell that he had forgiven. And that was very, very important to her. And it made her cry. And I think that she really felt, you know, the weight of the world come off of her shoulders as being a German-born and feeling that just that guilt of what happened in Nazi Germany. No, of course. It wasn't her.
Very similar when, you know, I have with some of my African-American friends, especially at the university level, explored our genealogy. And I found that on both sides of my family, they owned slaves back in the 1860s. And for those of you that are younger, like Cassie and the two young men that you'll be seeing in a minute, this is something we can't even fathom because I mean, that's humanity against humanity. We all hate war. Nobody wants war. So end it, Cassie. What are you going to do?
Well, these are the start.
They are. They're absolutely a start.
A peacemaking start.
Good. So it's called A Book by Me. We put that up there with the website so that folks can get it.
And now we have over 80 books written and illustrated by kids in the Holocaust series. We also have a human rights series. And they just keep coming in. Kids are contacting me from all over the country now and all around the world because I work with high school age foreign exchange students. So that's been exciting to see what these kids get passionate about when they hear what I'm doing. So we've actually published 6 of them and they're available if you'd like.
Those could be sold. People can purchase them.
Go to the website. You can purchase them there.
And let's give the website. It's up there, but just in case.
bookbyme.com.
And that's very easy to remember.
It is very easy to remember.
A Book by Me, and I love that because the me becomes whoever from all of these students or you all.
They all own a little bitty piece of this, don't they?
I love that,
Each one, yeah.
So Cassie, let's get back to you now because you just finished your first year of teaching.
I made it through my first year.
Did you cry any on the way home when you were teaching?
I did cry a little bit.
And it wasn't because, oh, I'm going to miss those babies. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me, God. And you were at a Christian school. I was thrust into this huge public school my first year at age 23, and I said, God, get me through this, get me through this. And I ended up staying. So, So now what are you going to, how are you going to incorporate this, or have you, into your own curriculum?
I have. One of my students this year started to write a book and about a local veteran. And so it was a great experience for him.
Good.
And this next year, I'm hoping to go on full time with A Book by Me. So.
And it's a open end. I mean, the sky is the limit.
Right.
Maybe somebody out there watching, you have an idea and you would like to contact them. Maybe you are from another culture or from another country, or maybe you know someone who would love to get the grant money to be able to come here as a foreign exchange student. You may have friends and relatives that are somewhere overseas or anywhere. Because it could be, too, that somebody comes up with an idea you haven't thought about yet.
That's right. We're open to ideas. That's
good.
For sure.
I love that. And you, Deb, have to be, because everything has just unfolded little by little.
Absolutely.
I love
That's true.
this. Okay, so let's get in everything you want to make sure we cover here.
Okay. Well, the first few books that are available. This one happens to be about a survivor who settled in Peoria, Illinois after the war, but she lived through several camps, and she's rather famous in and of herself. She has written a book called 4 Perfect Pebbles. She believed that if she found 4 perfect pebbles, her family would all survive. And that was the game that she played while she was in the concentration camp.
It gave her hope.
It gave her hope. Exactly, and that's what the young author titled it, Never Lose Hope. So
now, we aren't saying that because you find 4 pebbles.
No, not by any means.
We're showing up here some of the other books on that are available right now. There are 5 of these. What else are we missing up there, do you think?
Well, these are the ones that
are available. That are available
yes.
now. Okay.
World War II veteran, those stories are so important.
The War and the Boy.
We have just a short window of opportunity to meet with them. Righteous Gentiles. Corrie ten Boom's famous, but this man is not. He'd never told his story before, and he saved many Jewish families by skiing them to safety over the mountains from Norway. This is another Righteous Gentile, and this was written by a German exchange student who felt such guilt also about what happened in Nazi Germany, and she wrote about a righteous woman woman from Poland.
What a healing opportunity for a young person to be able to do this.
And now she's in college. I'm going to see her in a week over in Europe. And she's in college and she's writing a chapter book because she said, Deb Bowen taught me I can do this.
Oh, that's
Isn't that exciting?
I love it.
And this is about a refugee, a girl from Afghanistan whose family was hunted by the Taliban, and their aim was to kill them. So they were hiding in basements, and she met a Jewish survivor from Chicago who told her how he was hiding in an attic, and they had this great conversation about how they were their life meant nothing to these people that wanted to kill them, and they had to hide as children, and they lost their entire childhood.
That's a lot like the Diary of Anne Frank, too. I mean, just as not in scope,
exactly.
but in example. And I don't know that you have this in mind or not, but in St. Louis, when I do the radio program, and there may be somebody out there, you're just happening to catch a glimpse of this because of the computer and the internet. We're around the world. My heart is for sex slave trafficking.
Yes.
And it's happening here in America. It's happening in all countries. And that would be an awesome, awesome book. Famous story, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Yeah,
it
so
would.
We're kind of showing a little bit of these up close. What else, Cassie, do you have there?
This is Malaimu's Dream. This is the latest book in our series, and it's a story about, well, you'll meet him soon.
Yes.
But it's a water well story.
Hold it up there a little bit now. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a cute picture on the front, but you'll see how much more handsome he is in person. We're teasing you, so you'll have to wait now for the last 3 minutes to meet our two young, handsome high school gentlemen. What else is on the way, Deb? What do you really need?
The things that we need the most right now are grant funds.
Right.
We need young authors. We need them all across America. We need them to come forth and to find out who in their community. Do they have a World War II veteran that saw a camp? Do they have a Jewish survivor that maybe is sitting in a Methodist church now? We don't know. We don't know where all the survivors are. Some are sitting in synagogues and some are not. So we need them to find them and have them tell their stories, and they may be just ready to do that. And we need Righteous Gentile stories too, because far more people helped than what is represented as documented. They say 1% of the Christians helped, and I think a few more helped, and I think those stories are so valuable because it teaches kids today to be bold and be strong.
That's right.
And to do what is right no matter what. So those stories are very powerful too.
And I think that's the good part that's getting into our curriculum today. But of course, we have some other issues that you're not allowed to talk about. And I know religion. You're in a Christian school, but religion in public schools. I was telling one of our young men that I think that if we could hear more of the stories of everybody, because we probably have 10 different, not including the 20, 30 denominations, but also different religions. How can we ever coexist peacefully without knowing about each other? And that's what you're doing, and thank you for doing that.
Well, it's my privilege, and I think we don't understand each other till we become friends we start talking.
That's right.
So it's very important to me. The book project and working with the international kids, very, very important to me.
Yes.
And Cassie has grown up just so blessed. She's met so many Jewish survivors and World War II veterans that are all her old boyfriends. And
That's one way to do it, Cassie. I can see you sitting here going, I'm going to kill you, Mother. When we get home, I'm going to kill you, Mother.
No, I'm used to it.
I'm teasing.
Tell us about the most famous survivor that you've gotten to meet.
Recently, I met Eva Schloss.
Oh, yes.
And she is the stepsister to Anne Frank.
Yes.
When, after the war, Otto Frank married her mother. And she was lovely. Such a lovely lady.
Where did you meet?
She spoke in the Quad Cities just a couple months ago, I think, and we got to have dinner with her afterwards. And she was just so charming. She talked to me about the education system and how we can improve, like you were saying, coexist and respect one another, and how important that is.
Did you take a little tape recorder? You wanted to get it all in?
I wanted to, yeah.
Were you even embarrassed to write on the napkins and take notes?
It's very surreal to sit and talk to someone who knew Anne Frank. She knew her before the war. They saw each other in the camp. It's very surreal.
It is.
To know that Anne was a real girl, because we think of her as just...
It was a story.
It's a story.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I read that in junior high. That was just a story.
Right.
No, it was real. And there are still people to this day that do not believe the Holocaust was real.
Exactly.
Just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it did not happen. It's documented. It's the truth. Somebody out there, I know you could help sponsor one student exchange. And if you would be willing to do that, boy, I tell you, any kind of grant assistance you can give, and just, whatever you can, that would just be an awesome, wonderful opportunity. If you have been hurt or you've been touched in your life, or maybe your children or grandchildren or neighbors, whatever, why not put your faith and your feet to action and do something about it?
That's right. And host homes are always needed.
Tell us about that.
That doesn't cost very much at all. You love them and you feed them. The kids come with a little bit of pocket money. A lot of the kids that I work with now are scholarship recipients from third world nations, and they don't have a lot of extra money on their own. They could never have done this any other way.
Right.
They're from Africa, the Middle East, India, just exciting places to learn about. And what a blessing it is to open your heart and your home to these young people and learn from them while they are learning from us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cassie, did you ever go as a foreign exchange student to another country?
I didn't. No.
Do you wish you had it?
I would have loved to do that, yes.
Probably Germany, where in Frank, and to see the house
I would
there.
love to, yeah.
And what about any of your friends? Have you all sponsored any American students going overseas? Not yet?
No. Actually, most kids do not go as high school kids anymore, high school exchange.
Unless
they go
they
as
get
college.
yeah.
They go in college.
Okay.
And they go with the Rotary a lot still.
that's
Rotary is
good, yeah.
a very active source for the kids.
One of my former students had that. That's why we got to go to Africa, because he was there on a Rotary scholarship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Okay, so now we have heard the different stories. I know that there was Kate. Tell us about Kate. It says Kate and Schiff. Or is that Katz? I'm sorry, Katz.
Esther Katz, Esther Schiff, and Esther Avruch. Those are the first three stories that we told through A Book by Me. They started it all.
And they're still around?
One of them.
One of them.
Which one is still here?
Esther Schiff.
Schiff is still here. And do you keep in touch?
We do.
Good,
She just broke a hip, and she had to go to a nursing home, and her husband's got some health problems. He's a World War II veteran. He's a Jewish American soldier that saw the camps, that saw the horror of the Holocaust, and found his Esther over there, fell in love with her, and then when she immigrated to the U.S., he found her, and he married her and brought her to Rock Island, Illinois. So
I have read that, but I have forgotten the details, and that is just absolutely amazing. What is another one right now that's in the works that you feel is pretty up and coming and amazing?
Wow, we have so many really going on right now. Some of my exchange students met survivors while they were here. I've got a girl from Serbia who's writing about a survivor from Chicago. I have just a lot of projects, and American kids do write these as well, not just the internationals. Right. But I think it's so powerful when the kids do come here as internationals, because once the books are published, they're going to be famous in their countries too.
And it's a way for them to also make some expenses, made up, because they can also sell them for.
They can become speakers, and I think some of them will. Not all, because not everybody can do that, but I think some of them will.
And just to tell their story, even back in their hometown school, some of you maybe have a story. This has just spurred something in you, and you're thinking, I don't know if this would fit Deb's category or not, but my next door neighbor's son's cousin's friend.
Yes.
Well, call and get in touch, and let's give the website again.
That's right. It's abookbyme.com.
Yes, abookbyme.com. And what about as far as the 5 titles? I'm going to ask Miss Donnette back there to put those up again, and these are the ones that are now available.
That's right.
Let's just reiterate.
Never Lose Hope, The War and the Boy, A Secret Journey, Jolanta and Her 2,500 Kids, From Royalty to Refugee, and the latest one hot off the press, Molly Moo's Dream.
And we're coming right up with him. I just wanted everybody to take a look at the front of these different books, and each one of these is available at abookbyme.com. I love it. So simple and so easy. We told before when we had you on by yourself, Deb, a little bit of how you got involved, but really it was kind of a joint effort with Cassie, wasn't it?
It really was. She grew into it. I mean, she, every time we'd go interview someone, as often as she could, she would come along and meet them, because every time you meet one, it's a whole new educational experience.
Yes, absolutely.
You relive the war from their angle, from their point of view, whether that's a Jewish survivor or a veteran.
And it's just fascinating, because it's almost like you had to help to groom. But Cassie, give us, like if you had to do a PowerPoint with bullets on started here, 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 and progressing through to even helping, with the publishing, and now you do the proofreading also.
Yes.
So tell us, it started in junior high with?
It started in junior high with meeting the Esthers, and just really having a friendship with them more than anything else. And then that was kind of my awkward years too, junior high and high school, you know. So it was great to kind of not look at myself, you know, teenagers think so selfishly, and so I really came out of that, just hearing their stories and what they went through. It really put it in perspective for me. When I went to college, I started on the curriculum development.
Why did you do that?
Well, I was an elementary education major.
A perfect project.
It was a perfect project for me, yes. So I started on that, and really that was my favorite part, because I did write a book in high school. I didn't mention that.
Oh, I wrote a book in high school, but no big deal. And
I wrote one of the stories down in high school. So when I got into college, I started the curriculum development, and that was really the fun part for me, because as a teacher, I love to do what can we do in the classroom to further this education? Yes. What can we bring in cross-curricular, you know, to really enhance it? Also, the character education is so important. There's perseverance and hope and anti-bullying. So many messages in these stories that could be used in our classrooms today.
So true. And how were your children in your class? Were they very receptive to this?
They were, yes. And it's always anytime I went to a classroom, it was always surprising to see even the rowdiest classrooms would just be so quiet and respectful to the Holocaust survivors when they speak. And I think it's just, they have this sense about them, you know, this peace, and so charming and
you have second through fifth graders, but when we look at these different pictures up here too, and we get to see just some of the curriculum designer photos
and you
here.
Get to see some
Any that we left
junior high photos.
Oh yeah, there's your little junior high one as well. Love that.
Yeah, the braces.
But the kids love that when they see this too. Have you thought about going in other public schools or Catholic schools?
That's one thing's on the horizon, is going into schools and speaking.
I love it. And you're so verbal.
And actually, the ones that are available on the website, every book has matching curriculum. So if there's teachers watching, they can purchase the book, and they can purchase the curriculum to go with it. That'll give them some great ideas to draw some more things out of the children in the classroom.
And I am assuming that once you have hit on one issue or one topic, there is a spin-off, and then a spin-off, and a spin-off, and it just is endless.
It is.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I was even just thinking, it was probably a couple of months ago, I spoke here at Quincy Notre Dame, was that over here, and the kids there just wanted to, you know, hear more and more and more about my story. Have you thought about not just the cultural things, but also the problems? I know that one of the young men today said maybe on bullying or something
Absolutely,
like that.
Absolutely. There's so many stories to be told. A friend of mine who's African American was telling me that she was a brilliant singer when she was young, and they wanted her in the school musical. But on the day that she was to sing, she wore her best clothes, and she got there and they put her behind a curtain, and a white girl stood on the stage. That is going to be a very powerful book. I think your story would make a very powerful book. You definitely
will see.
Yes, I do, because they're stories of hope. You know, she broke through and she's forgiven, and now she sings, and she's got a beautiful musical career.
I love it.
But yes, I mean, we're overcomers.
Mwalamu, who's going to be with us in just a minute, was telling me that he would like to visit more on the east and southern part of Africa, and we got to stand in Nelson Mandela's cell, where he was imprisoned all these years. And yet, look, my favorite scripture is from Genesis. It said, what the enemy meant for harm, what Satan, the devil, evil meant for harm, God took it and combined it and used that very thing. Not just closed the door, but used it to bring good. And isn't that the story of our lives and the story of everyone in here?
Absolutely.
Right.
God wastes nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. And you know, these people tell me, you know, for 60 years I've not given this a voice, and now these books are giving people a voice who never thought that their stories would ever be told, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yes. And what about the grant again? We want to make sure we get that.
Well, that's what we're looking for right now, is grant funding. So we've got a couple of leads on that, but we need to act quickly because somebody has a lot of college loans. I've done this for 9 years as a volunteer, and my husband's ready to retire, so he's my coach from the background. He's saying, get those grants, baby. So if anybody has any ideas about that. Also, travel is very, very important to us, so we need air miles. If there's somebody who travels a lot for their job and doesn't get a chance to use all those miles, that would be a huge blessing to us, because we do need to get around and to meet people and to talk about this, and we're just starting, so it
would be a huge blessing.
And we have put up not only the book by me, but the phone number. And please, folks, think about this. This is important for the future of America, especially, really is.
Yes.
Well, we only have a couple of minutes left, but we have a couple of very handsome young men who are going to be coming up here, hint, hint, right now. And the one thing that I have loved in meeting them, you get their sense of, their love for their own country, but how they have learned to get along with everybody else too. So, our camera-wise, are we good there with them? All right. You want to introduce first? Well, let's let wait a minute, Mwalimu, got it. Introduce your friend.
Okay, my name is Mwalimu William Karisa, and I'm from Kenya, and my friend is...
I'm Mustafa Al-Sadiq from Saudi Arabia, and we're both exchange students. Got a scholarship from the American Councils and going through this amazing experience in the U.S.
And it is amazing. Mwalimu, tell us now, you have your own book here.
Oh, yeah. It's really amazing since I got here in the August of last year. Going through the American education system, being accepted in the community. We have been doing different things like volunteering. It has been really amazing so far.
Where have you been staying?
I was hosted in Bluegrass, Iowa.
In Iowa?
Yeah.
And did you see many people of your color in Iowa?
Yeah, actually the community is really diverse from school, everywhere. And then trying to learn different things, I was in a position to identify another opportunity.
Yes.
It's a basic need back at home.
Good.
And that's why
what is that? That's what your story's about.
Yeah, that's what my story is about. That's why I had to come out and talk to my area coordinator about it. And then from there, my host parents. And then fortunately, we have a pastor who lives in Davenport. So we get to meet him, and the basic need, the problem was water to drink.
There you go.
Yeah, it's very, here it's not a big deal, but then back home it's really difficult. So I had to write the book, illustrate everything from where I started up to date. And now we are raising money, and we're doing good.
So you'd love to not only sell your book, but if people could help you out with travel and transportation, or purchase some to also give. And, as they keep coming in, folks, please, what Mwalimu is talking about is the actual need for children to have clean water. We don't even think about it. It never crosses our mind that we can't turn on the tap and just get as much as we want.
Yeah.
But it's very important. We only have 30 seconds left. Would you like to say anything in closing?
I'll just like to thank everyone. I loved America.
And America loves you. We love the interchange, and as a high school teacher, I had loved that too. Deb and Cassie, thank you, and thank you. I hope to get to Saudi Arabia one day. I've been to Africa, but haven't been there. Anytime, okay. You be my personal host? Oh, of course, you heard it. I've got it on tape. Thank you all. God bless you, and continued joy and favor upon you. And I'm Dr. Pepper, shaking the salt.
Been watching Outreach Connection. If you would like to contact this ministry, you may write Outreach Connection, care of CTN, WTJR, 222 North 6th Street, Quincy, Illinois, 62301.
The Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain to your land in his season, and to bless all the work of your hand. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 12. Today's encouraging word has been brought to you by your friends at the Christian Television Network.
Would you exercise